The Union recorded their first tie of the season with a 0-0 draw against Orlando City, but that wasn't the biggest news out of Chester this week. We break down the seismic move the Union made and the impact on the club both for this season and beyond. All that and more as Union Insider starts right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Union Insider presented by Independence Blue Cross. I'm Marisa alongside Sebastian Latou and Sheanon Williams. Well, guys, we know that typically we start the show talking about the game that happened this past weekend, but this week is a little different. Instead of analyzing the team's moves on the field to start things off, we're kicking off the show analyzing the team's moves off of it. The Union made a club-altering move, sending Daniel Gazdag to the Columbus Crew for a large sum of cash. It was a surprising move, being that Gazdag has contributed to 4 of the team's 13 goals this season and has been a consistent difference maker over the last 5 seasons with the team. Gazdag was acquired by the Philadelphia Union as a designated player in Hungary on May 11, 2021. Since then, Gazdag's impact on the Union speaks for itself. He's appeared in 161 games for the club, scoring 72 goals and adding 24 assists in that span. Those 72 goals are the most in Union history. During his time with the Union, the club made the MLS playoffs 3 times, and Daniel Gazdag scored in the playoffs on 4 occasions. He helped lead the club to the 2021 Eastern Conference Finals, the 2022 MLS Cup Finals, scoring 22 goals and 6 assists that season. Gazdag also capped for Hungary 23 times during his stint with the Union, scoring 3 goals for them in those appearances. Just to start things off, what is your overall reaction to this trade, Seba?
I mean, we are, I think, all a bit surprised, like the fan of this trade, but at the same time, I feel with what the Union is trying to do, with the team and having, Daniel Gazdag almost, at the end of his contract, we all know that with all the stats you just talked about and he put on the field, it was going to be hard for the Union to pay, whatever he was going to ask, and, with kind of like the philosophy of the team and with Ernst Tanner, it could be, a good thing for the team to then start pushing the next person and get a player, to the type of Gazdag who can develop with the Union and, become a big name in this league.
So where did the Union go from here?
Well, they've got to find somebody that's going to produce that production that we're losing with Daniel Gazdag leaving for the Columbus Crew. He's also a leader in that locker room, somebody that's been through the trenches with this group, so you lose a little bit there. And then how do they reinvest this money? I think those are the questions that are going to be right in the forefront as he moves on to the Columbus Crew. And can they do a good job of galvanizing this group again and getting them to pick up production where Daniel has been such a big part of this Union team, scoring goals, making sure that he chips in on the assist side of things. He's been predominantly healthy over his time as well. So again, it's a big loss, but these things happen. Seb and I were both traded, so we know what that's like. Wish Daniel all the best moving forward, him and his family. And these things are tough, but obviously they're doing what they think is in the best interest of the team, and now you have to see what's next.
For the team now who remains without Gazdag, where can they begin to fill the void that he leaves now?
I mean, times will tell. We always see, of course, with all the Union fans, Daniel Gazdag and what he represents, being the top scorer, beating my record last year, still, being a part of, a lot of goals happening this season as well. You don't know what's going to happen. I think it could be a lot of critics happening, but I think he can really open the door for who can be the next person to play, in a Gazdag role, to kind of implement themselves into the systems that Bradley Carnell is trying to do, and have the team, keeping winning, games and being, at the top of the standings. Daniel is definitely a great aura too. He's going to be missed in the locker room, but it's could be a good opportunity now, and for all the young guys who are pushing to see that, okay, maybe there's an opportunity for me to make myself, into the starting 11.
Is there anyone specific you hope takes advantage of this opportunity?
I mean, we saw with a few subs, at the beginning of the year that maybe Indiana Vasilev could be the one maybe replacing right away Daniel Gazdag in the same position, where Gazdag was more, as a number 10, but more wide, on the right side. And then you have, of course, everybody think about Kevin Sullivan, having him maybe getting more minutes during this season with not having Gazdag into the starting 11.
So we talked about, the people that could step up for this team in this situation, but could they bring someone else in? Where do you see them using this money kind of in the free market, if you will?
Well, you just have to kind of wait and see. I think I'm sure there's some names out there that they're looking at to try and fill that void. And this is something that when you get a heap of cash, of course, all the fans want to see you spend it right away, just like when you get that paycheck on payday. So they're just going to have to do a good job of using their scouting. I don't think they're going to rush into anything from what we've seen over the years and how they do and operate in a business standpoint. So they'll do their homework. Ernst Tanner has a lot to do now that he has to replace a Daniel Gazdag.
Do you think they're going to go with an attacking player, if you had to guess?
They better. They need the goal production, and he's somebody that, again, wasn't playing in as a number 9, but somewhat in behind him. This year he's played a little bit out wide. But again, you need somebody to pick up where he's left off. Seba talked about it's a huge opportunity for some guys to step up, and that's what you're really hoping for when you pull the trigger on a trade like this.
Yeah, and with a move this big, fans may be asking why the Union even decided to make the move, especially just 7 games into the season and with the club sitting in 3rd place in the East. Here's what Union Sporting Director Ernst Tanner had to say about trading Gazdag to the Columbus Crew.
Yeah, well, he's the all-time leading goal scorer, and he was part of our success over the last couple of years. I think he has been one of the greatest players the Union ever had. There is always a lot of effort to explore opportunities. I always was telling Danny, it needs to be a win-win situation if we do something like that, and that's exactly what happened right now, a little bit late. Since that was going on basically since January, February. At the same time, we don't want to stand in the way of somebody if we get the right remuneration, and that just happened. We are against doing something immediate, even if we might have an opportunity, but we have good roster depth. We have a lot of players who could fill in. We already proved that we can win a game without Daniel. We want to see how that plays out, and when somebody is going out, there is always a chance for somebody going in, and we have the quality in our roster and enough good players to fill the spot, and if it doesn't turn out to be the right choice, then then we might need to go out in summer and add a player. At least we have the flexibility right now to do it as we open up a roster spot as well.
We've got more Union Insider for you in a bit, but first, here's your Union Trivia question presented by United Concordia. Ty Baribo earned MLS Player of the Month honors for February and March. How many other times has a Union player won MLS Player of the Month? Find out the answer later in the show.
Are we live?
No, we're not live. It's not live, bro. It's definitely not on me. I don't know what to say. Daniel Gazdag, comment va? Gazdag. Yes. Like Usain Bolt. Come on! Good touch, Marcus. Absolutely whacked. Step, you don't step. Oh, Ty Baribo! Yes! Yes, I was there, Mika. Watch it, right foot, right in the corner. Come on. All right, I'm getting out of here.
Welcome back to Union Insider, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Despite the news of Daniel Gazdag's move to Columbus, we do still have a result to go over from this past weekend. The Union hosted Orlando City SC this past weekend, and it ended in a scoreless draw at the Sub. Let's take a dive into the result on Saturday night, guys. It was the first time the Union were shut out this season, but it was also their 3rd clean sheet of the year as well. So how do you break this one down? It wasn't the most exciting, but positives for it.
Yes, it was not the most, I was, calling on the radio. It was hard to kind of find, I think in the final third, the forward and be a bit creative to get some shot on goal. I think at the end of the game, it was around 20 shots for the Union, but just 4 on target. So it was a little bit, let's say, sloppy offensively. I know, the focus was defensively because Orlando was, the best attack in the league. They did a very good job on that. I think there's some positive, to get from that game. But, when you are at home and, you want to get kind of the fan together, I think we were a bit lacking on some energy, especially at the end of the game to try, to get that goal and get the win.
Yeah, we were talking about the momentum that was behind the Union heading into this one, scoring a lot of goals. What dropped off?
I think it's just tough when you play a team twice in such a short span. They obviously made adjustments to try and slow this Union team down that scored 4 against them on opening day down in Orlando, and that's what teams will do when you play them the second time. They'll make those adjustments. They'll look to frustrate you, especially them being on the road and the Union being home this time. I thought the Union lacked a little bit of creativity in the final third. Seba talked about the 20 shots, but how many of them are real quality chances? Only 4 shots on goal suggests that they're really trying to find something that isn't there and hasn't been there for the last couple games maybe.
Yeah, they outshot Orlando 20-6, but as you said, 4 of those shots were on goal. So it was more so quantity over quality, it seemed.
Yeah, and it was not as much too of, I think, run behind the defense. Like one of the stats as well, it was 0 offside for the Union, which you don't see that a lot, in a game when you want, to go behind. It was not as many runs, I think, from Baribo and Damiani, who was kind of like trying to come to the ball. We were always, close to each other, and we are kind of missing, some, I think, yes, deep runs, to kind of stretch the defense of Orlando, who, of course, was sitting and tried to go in counter-attack, but he was missing. And the other thing for me was, with Kai Wagner not being here, you had Nathan Ariel playing as a left back for kind of another position for him, 3 starts and 3 different positions we start. He did a very good job, defensively, but you were really missing, this offense, Kai Wagner can bring with his left foot and find, good services to the forward, and hopefully we can have him, back in the team, because you see when he's not here, he's not the same, with the fullbacks, going forward and delivering some good crosses.
And Sheanon, was there anything concerning about the lack of creativity?
No, I think this is now a couple games. It's a long season, and you're going to go through stints where you struggle to score goals. Can they do a good job of working on it in training, making sure they're a little bit more clinical? We also have some 9s that are really dependent on service, and they've got to do a better job. Obviously, Kai would help out with that, being left-footed. I think they just need that service if they're going to produce goals for this team. So, again, these are little things to clean up. 20 shots on goal. Again, can it be a little bit more quality over the quantity?
And defensively then, how did you think they did in terms of specifically, gradually becoming more and more of a defensive team?
Yeah, I think that's going to be their bread and butter. If they want to be successful this season, they need to do a really good job of making sure that they keep zeros. And we've seen some games where they've been able to do that. This past game, anytime you pitch a 0, you give yourself that chance to win. Again, we'd like to see them create a little bit more, but the 0 we'll take that every day, and I'm sure Andre's happy about getting some shutouts.
Yeah, what did you think of Andre's performance in this one?
Andre is going to do things that no other goalkeeper in the league can do, and that's Andre. So he's just got to keep commanding that back line, making sure they're organized, and when the big times come up where he needs to make that save, we know that he'll be there.
Speaking of making the save, that is the subject of this week's Key Play of the Week presented by Subaru, and Seba is over at the big board to break it all down for us.
Yes, no goal in that game, for the offense, but a big, performance defensively with Glesnes and Glavinovic, the center backs together. And of course, we just talked about it. Andre making, big save like he used to and help the team get, a clean sheet again at Subaru. So let's go, into this counter-attack from Orlando. It happened around the 70 minutes. You can see the units kind of pushing and, hard for them to come back when Oreda, got the ball. He tried to place the ball to Muriel a bit to the right. And as we saw against Miami the week before, Andre got beat on the type of shot like this, but on this one, really reacted very well on his foot to put the danger out of the box. But what you can see is really like the 2 defenders, Glavinovic and Glesnes being almost in 1v1, Glesnes taking care of Oeda. You see Glavinovic following the rest of Maguire, and then it's kind of like Nathan Ariel, a little bit late to follow the run of Muriel, who had a shot on target, but then a lot of defender coming back into the box to clear the danger. But it was a great save from Andre, who really saved the team for a point, because it was a big opportunity in the second half for Muriel.
I love hearing Seba break down a goalkeeper, right? We don't get that enough. We're coming up on a break for Union Insider, but when we return, we'll look ahead to the weekend as they face NYCFC for the first time this season. We'll be right back after this. Time for this week's Union Update presented by Torque. Tuesday, the Philadelphia Union and Subaru of America volunteered at a local Chester school, Edgemont Scholars Academy, to refurbish the unused planters on the school's playground as part of the team's Greener Goals initiatives to celebrate Earth Day. The volunteers planted flowers, vegetables, and herbs. The Philadelphia Horticultural Society was also there to teach students how to maintain all the plants in their planters. Welcome back to Union Insider presented by Independence Blue Cross. I'm Marisa Pilla, and the Union are back on the road this weekend as they make their annual trip to the baseball diamond to take on NYCFC at Citi Field. So let's go over what they need to do to pick up the win in this week's Keys to the Game presented by Subaru. Seba, your key for their trip up to NYC.
I mean, we all know those trips in New York is kind of a weird one because you play on a field which is very small, and that we saw against Orlando is, for me, can we be a little bit more creative in the final third for the Union? It's going to be very tight space. You can see the defender coming at you from every direction. Could we see some good movement between our two forward and of course the midfielder to try to support them and maybe get some shot from distance, and at the same time having stretching the defense with some good runs to then be able to play between the lines. So I'm looking forward to see that. It's going to be difficult because it's a very tough field to play on. Sheanon, I play a few games on this. You can go back and forth very quickly from one goal to another. So it's going to be interesting, but I hope the creativity in the final third will be a little bit better in this game.
Sheanon, for you?
For me, it's going to be the service provided by not only the fullbacks but also the wide players. Can they do a good job of providing our forwards with enough service that they can get 1 or 2 goals and put some distance between them and New York City? I think when this team is really clicking, they're getting their fullbacks high and into the attack with Nathan Harriel. Hopefully we'll have Kai Wagner back, not only on his set pieces but also through the run of play. His service has always been good for this team, and obviously for Ty Baribo and Bruno and also Michael Ua. These guys are people that are going to need somebody to deliver a ball. Can they make a good run, get on the end of some of these crosses?
So is it more advantageous for the attack or the defense to be playing on a baseball field?
I feel like for both, it just depends. I feel like with the way the Union is playing, especially with the kind of press, to try to win the ball right away, it's definitely, I think, a best field for them to do that. But in those games, you can see a lot of set pieces, which is very important. So we really hope Kai Wagner can be here because he's, the best for the Union to deliver the best ball. And I think if we have him, we can really create some, danger, free kick or corners, whatever it is, to put, some ball in the back of the net.
We know who we won't have. We won't have Gazdag. We won't have Glivinovic because he got injured last weekend as well. So how do you see this one playing out from a personnel standpoint? Who's going to be able to have a great game on this weekend?
I'm going to look at somebody like Quinn Sullivan, somebody that has assists so far this season, wanting to see him add some goals to it, but has also just done a good job of taking the next step in his own development. Can he start to step up into that role that Gazdag has played for a long time for this team? He's already started it with chipping in the goals and the assists. Can he be more consistent about it? Can he do it on a more regular basis like we saw Daniel Gazdag do?
So they were shut out last weekend. How do they avoid that this one?
I think it's going to be interesting to see how Macania is coming back as a center back if Glivinovic cannot go this weekend, having Kai Wagner back as well. It's just all about motivation. I think Macania was unfortunate with his red card, a very let's say useful mistakes from him, but I'm sure he wants to come back and get another clean sheet with Glasnes. Like I say, it's going to be a short field. It's going to be a lot of opportunity for them to make big plays, to be aggressive, and win the ball off New York City FC. And like we saw, and what I would like to see, it's maybe when Macania or Glasnes won the ball, to not be scared. Carry those balls. Having maybe an opportunity for a shot for Glasnes from distance. He can score from far, and having Macania do the same like he had been doing. I remember a game against New England Revolution, we create a big opportunity for Michael Ura. So it's going to be I think a big game for the team. It's going to be non-stop, I think, on this short field. So we need to see the energy, and we need everybody to be ready and take the opportunity to do another good game.
Yeah, can't wait to see it on the diamond. It's time for our last break of the show, but when we return, the guys will give their final thoughts on the Union's matchup on Saturday against NYCFC. Union Insider will wrap up right after this. Here's the answer to this week's Union Trivia question presented by United Concordia. Sebastian Letou and Jack McInerney are the only other players to win MLS Player of the Month honors. Seba won it back in September of 2011, while McInerney won it back-to-back months in April and May of 2013. Seba always finds a way to get himself involved in the trivia questions. So. Whoever your PR is, they're working overtime. It's our final segment here on Union Insider presented by Independence Blue Cross, and it's time for these guys to share their final thoughts for this week's show in this week's edition of Final Whistle presented by Allstate. So Sheanon, what's your final whistle?
End of an era with Daniel Gazdag moving on. Who's going to be that next guy to step up? Is it going to be somebody like Quinn Sullivan or his brother Kevin Sullivan? We'll just have to wait and find out.
All right. Seba?
For me, I think it's the best opportunity for the Union to go play New York City FC right now. I think with the style of play of the team, he can really fit very well on this kind of short field we talk about. Can we, see a lot of energy into the team, scoring a lot of goals, winning the ball high up the field, and make the New York City FC pay. So I'm looking forward to have a good game from the team and try to rebound after a loss and a tie and get another 3 points.
Also, Seba is celebrating an anniversary of sorts, right? How many years?
Today, yes.
15?
15 was the first game at home at Lincoln Financial. Where
15 years since his first game. And remind us again how many goals you scored in that game.
I got a 3, which was nice. I don't know why I didn't get the team of the week.
Yeah, I mean, my goodness. What else could you have done back then?
I don't know.
Sheanon, were you there for that magic?
No, I was too busy on Team of the Week, so.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this one. The Union travel up I-95 to Citi Field on Saturday night to take on NYCFC. Sheanon will be alongside Dave Leno for the radio call on 97.5 The Fanatic. The game can also be seen on MLS Season Pass. And for Seba and Sheanon, I'm Marisa, and we'll see you next week.